big part of a CHRO is getting the right candidates, getting the right team. But then the culture is about making sure that they're here to stay and they found a home. Another part of the post after they come on board, you mentioned that you started out working for in a temp position with truck drivers. I know you're in semiconductor manufacturing, you have a large temporary workforce, so you're thinking about workforce management and from a strategic point of view. How much is that part of the transformational CHRO's job? Is workforce management, strategy around managing the workforce itself?
Yeah, so it has to be, and it depends on your industry. So if you're in an industry that's fairly stable and you're growing at a pretty normal pace, maybe you don't have to think about workforce management and strategy. But semiconductor is a cyclical industry. So the ramps up and then it can drop down, and then it ramps up and then it can drop down. And we know right now the numbers out there on semiconductor is this will likely be $1 trillion market in 2030. That's up by about 400 billion over the next 5 years. And we know this market's going to need another million workers in it or another way to do the work. And so when you're sat there going, okay, this is what the industry is facing, I have to be thinking about, okay, how am I going to manage when I'm going to be competing with very large semiconductor companies, potentially for the same talent? Where are we going to go for our talent pool? How are we going to differentiate? Now, we have the fortunate that we make robots. And so I can take a robot to a career fair because they still do those at colleges. And I can just put a robot on a table with very little else, and the line will be out the door to talk to us about, and I don't do this, my team does this, to talk to us. But I have to always be constantly thinking about what's going to happen from competing talent. Where are we going to go next? How do I balance, to your point, my Brooks workforce versus we call them contingent workforce, knowing that it could ramp up and then it could come back down again? And so how do I manage that so that I'm able to flex and flow with what's going on? So workforce management and strategies around workforce and talent, both talent retention and talent attraction. And I specifically call it talent attraction, not talent acquisition. It's very intentional, become very important because especially when you go into your market that could be going through a huge ramp.